Hello and welcome to Excel Weekend Season 8. Wow, this is an amazing opportunity to learn from the leading Microsoft Excel MVPs and Excel experts from around the world on October the 14th. This is a free to attend event. All you need to do is to log on to excelweekend.com/8/online, and of course you can see the session that will be delivered by the leading Excel experts and MVPs from around the world, and of course you can see the familiar faces in the world of Microsoft Excel technology. So my name is David Abiola. I'll be delivering topic on top productivity tips and tricks in Excel. So without much ado, let's go into the presentation. So let me swipe to Excel. Now, the first thing we want to deal with is how to perform auto sum, auto average, auto max, and mean. Now, traditionally, if you want to create a total from this kind of report, you probably do equal sign sum, then you select the value left and you close the bracket and you click enter, and of course you copy down the formula. Okay, now this is fine, but this is quite inefficient and time wasting. Therefore, I'm going to delete this formula. Now I'm going to select the numbers, okay, Q1 to Q4, and in the home tab of the ribbon under the editing group, click on this sigma sign which performs the auto sum. Bam, that drops the total in cell F2, which is £2,753. Now how do we do the same thing for the average? Okay, it's very simple. Select the Q1 to Q4, and of course you mustn't select the total, that's not part of it, just Q1 to Q4, and then come to the sigma sign and choose this drop down beside the sigma sign and click on average, and that will drop the average inside cell G2. This is quite an hidden trick that quite many people doesn't know about. So that's how to perform auto average, and of course you can guess how to do the same thing for max. Choose auto max. And for the main function, click on the drop down and choose main, and would have completed the process for total, average, max, and mean. And then you can copy down the formula or drag down carefully so that it doesn't enter the total row. And then we can select the numbers and the empty grand total row, and on the keyboard control alt equal sign, which is the keyboard shortcut for auto sum. That's lovely. Now let's go to tips and tricks number 2. Now, if you have old Excel, you don't have Excel 2019, 2022 or M365, and you're going to remove duplicates, you probably do something like this. Click in the data set in the data tab under the data tools group, click on remove duplicates, and then click on OK. And of course, would have removed the duplicates, just click on OK to accept the result. That's fine. But if you have M365 and newer version of Excel, you can use the new unique dynamic array formula. Control shift down arrow key, close the formula, control enter, and this will give you the unique values. This is lovely. I love that so much. Now let's go to tips and tricks number 3. In this case, we want to use VLOOKUP with what is called array constant. Now this is the way it works. I need to write the formula once, and I expect it to spill to the columns to the right, which is payment, brand, and total. Now how do we do that? Let's see, equal sign VLOOKUP. Click on this transaction ID, which is the lookup value, comma, and of course I want to select the entire table, which is the table array. Control shift right and down arrow key, and then you can even F4 key to make it absolute, comma. Now the column index number is going to be inside what is called curly braces or curly brackets, as you want to call it. So, and now this is the way it works. Now this column index number 1, transaction ID, column index number 2 is date. Now we're going to start from 3, which is year, to column index number 6, which is total. So I'm going to type in 3, 4, 5, 6, close the curly bracket and comma. Now for the range lookup, we want exact match type. Close the formula and control enter. Bam, it's spilled to the neighboring columns, and then we can just drag the formula down in 2 places, and that completes the process. Quite amazing, right? Now let's quickly verify. You can see this transaction ID 17001 17001. The total is for 3,291, and we have the same thing for the 3,291 from the source data. Amazing. Now let's go to tips and tricks number 4. Now in this case, we want to find the position of this payment type. Now to do this, we have to use what is called the matched function, which find the relative position of a value within a range. Or you can even use the new X match. Anyone is fine, but let's go with the old school matched function. So equals matched. Now the lookup value will be the value in cell D2, comma, and the lookup array is this list, and we want exact match. Close the match, control enter, bam. We have position number 6, and of course it is certainly in position number 6. Okay, now let me just replace the payment type to Skrill, and of course the formula automatically update, and of course Skrill is in position number 1. That's cool. Let's jump to number 5, tips and tricks. Now we want to see how to create named ranges, because I love it so much. Okay, it deals with the problem of cell references. Okay, now let's do cell references first. Equal sign, let's say we want to do total. That's going to be unit multiplied by the price. I can click enter, and I've got that to deliver 2,292, and I have to use the autofill to send the report down or the result down. That's fine. Okay, but I'm going to delete the result, and let's create our named range. Now what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to just, since we want to create named ranges on unit and price, I'll just hold on my shift key and just write arrow key, then control down arrow key, control backspace. Then in the formulas tab, we have defined names group. Just click on create from selection, and of course we have this dialog box. Now our values are in the top row, which are unit and price. So just click on OK, and would have created our named ranges, unit and price, which we can verify in the name box. Now let's go ahead and use this in our formula equal sign. So all I need to do is to call the function, okay, unit, press the tab key, multiplied by price, and then click enter, bam, we have it. Now this is what is called the ghost cells. Okay, the formula actually lives in the top cell, which is cell G2, and we can see the result. That's amazing. Now let's jump to number 6, tips and tricks number 6. Now we want to extract the first name from these account managers. Now the first name will be Natasha, Nicholas, and so on. The last name will be Love, Dean, Baines, and so on. Now we want to use formula, and of course the formula that comes to mind in this situation is the left function. Now the text is going to be the value in cell A2, comma. Now the num child, that's the number of character we want to extract from the text leftmost. Now I'm going to use what is called the find function. Now there is a space between this Natasha and Love, so I want to find the position of the space. So I'm going to use double quote with space in between, then I put in a comma. Now within the same text in cell A1, close the find, close the left, and control enter. Cool, would have extracted the first name without any extra spaces. That's lovely. Now let's do the same thing for the last name. Now this is quite more technical than the first name extraction, but let's do it together. Equal sign. Now in this case, we're going to use the right function because we are dealing with the rightmost names. Right now the text remain A1, comma. Now for the num chart, I'm going to use the len function. Now the text will be the same, A2 rather, not A1. This is A2. Then close the len function. Then I'm going to use minus. I'm going to subtract that from find. Now the find, we want to find the space in between Natasha and Love. So excuse me, let me just continue in the formula bar. So double quote with space in between, and then comma. Now the text is going to be A2, close the find, close the right, control enter, and then we have extracted the last name without any extra spaces. That's lovely. Now let's do the same thing using flash fill. Now for the flash fill, I'm going to just type in Natasha, and then I need to type in the first few letters of the second name, which is Nicholas, and just click enter. That's lovely. Now for the last name, I'm going to type in Love, the rightmost name in cell A2, and then I type in the first few letters of Dean and control enter. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I can even use control E anyway. that does the magic for me. Wonderful. Now let's go to tips and tricks number 8. Now we want to see how to use the count ifs and the sum ifs function. Now we have unique payment here and the many side of payment here. Now I want to count based on the payment, so I'm going to use count ifs. Now for the criteria range 1, I'm going to select the many side, control backspace, comma, and for the criteria 1, I'm going to select this unique value. Now you can use count if singular to do this operation because it is one criteria, okay? But I love to use count ifs and sum ifs all the time, since count ifs, sum ifs, average ifs, and so on are able to do the job of their singular function name. So I prefer to use the plural, okay? Now let's do the same thing for the sum ifs function. Equal sign sum ifs. Now the sum range will be the total column, control shift down arrow key, control backspace, comma, and the criteria range will be the many side for the payment, control shift down arrow key, control backspace, comma. Now for the criteria 1, I'm going to select this unique payment, close the formula, control enter, control shift down arrow key, control shift 4 to apply currency. Bam, we have completed this process easily. And of course, these are the spill cells, okay? This is where the formula lives, okay? This works in M365 easily. Now let's jump, because of our time, to my little friend in Excel, which is called Format Painter. Now you can see we have formatting in this list of headings here, but we do not have any formatting here. Now I'm going to just borrow any one of the formatting and come to the home tab, click on this Format Painter, and I want to brush. Bam. Oops, excuse me. Control Z. Let me just redo that. So click on the Format Painter. I'm too excited anyway, and just drop the button, and that replicate the format onto the selection from where it came from. That's awesome. Now let's jump to number 10, across sheet selection. Now let's say we have this sales report heading here and we want to center it. Now many people knows how to perform margin center, which we have in this alignment group here. Just click on margin center. Okay, but this is not the best way to do it, okay, because you'd have collapsed so many columns into one. Now I'm going to Control Z. Again, I'm going to select the range just like margin center, and on the keyboard deploy Control 1, which opens the format cells dialog box. Now what we want to do is under alignment tab, so I click on alignment, and of course it is under the horizontal. Then I choose the center across selection. So all I need to do is to deploy OK on the keyboard, bam, or enter, and you can see it has been centered and we have not collapsed any cells together. That's lovely. Now let's move to number 11, tips and tricks, which is fill series. Now let's want to fill 1 to 1 million. I'm going to type in 1 in any chosen cell. Let's start from A2, Control Enter to maintain the active cell. Now in the home tab of the ribbon under the editing group, click on fill. I want to choose series. I want to fill in columns, and of course I'm going to type in the top value, which is 1 million. Okay, click OK on the keyboard, control down arrow key to verify. Bam, we have filled 1 million. That's, oh, this is 100,000 anyway. You can do the same thing for 1 million. It doesn't matter, just add the necessary number of zeros. That's fine. Okay, all right, let's do the same thing for fill date. Now let's say we want to fill 10 years period for the from the 1st of January 2010 to 31st of December 2020. Now I'm going to type in the start value, which is 01/01/2010, and to enter to maintain the active cell. Click on fill. I want to choose series. Now it's going to be in columns also, and of course it's going to be date type and date unit, which is date. I'm going to type in the stop value, which is 31st of December 2022, and click enter on the keyboard. And when I control down arrow key to verify, bam, we have filled 10 years period. That is amazing. Now let's jump to number 12, which is color borders. Now let's want to apply color borders to this data set. I can control down arrow key and control right arrow key, control backspace to select the data set, because that's the rule of formatting Excel. You have to select the cell or cells that you want to apply formatting to. Okay, now having selected the range, you can just click on this little icon at the border and then you choose bottom, more borders at the bottom here. Now this will open the format cells dialog box. Now you can choose the color of choice. Now let's choose this color, and then you can even choose the style, how thick you want it to be, and then you can apply the top, middle, bottom, left, middle, and the right, and you can click OK. Then you can see we have applied color border. That's amazing. Simple. Let's jump to number 13, how to create subtotal in Excel. Now let's want to create subtotal based on this brand. Now what I'm going to do is to sort the data set. I'm going to sort A to Z or Z to A, it depends on your choice. Now having sorted the data, I'm going to come to the data tab under the outline group to the far right of your screen. We have subtotal here. Now I want to subtotal based on the brand column, and just click OK. Bam, we have created a subtotal easily. So you can easily manage the outlines we have here. Okay, but this where we have the subtotal for BMW, for Ford, and so on and so forth. Cool. Now let's jump to number 14, how to create drop down list. Now let's want to create a brand drop down list in cell H2. Now let me just get the unique brand. I'm going to use sort and unique dynamic array function, and I select the value from under, that is in cell D3. Control Shift down arrow key, Control backspace, close, Control Enter. We can see we have created the unique and the sorted list. Now I'm going to come to cell H2, and then in the data tab where we have, click on data validation, and then in the data validation dialog box, I'm going to just choose a list, and for the source I'm going to click on the first value, which is cell G4 in absolute cell reference. Hold down the shift key and click on 3, which is the pound sign, and that will give you the value in the entire spill range. Even if new value is added, it will automatically be captured. So click OK, and then you can choose anyone you want. Now you don't need to delete this because it is connected to the data validation. Now you can just paint this in white, and that's what I do mostly. Okay, nobody knows something is here. All right, so in number 15, we want to see how to use conditional formatting advanced technique. So in cell H2, we've got this unique brand here, and we want to conditionally format this data set based on the selected brand in cell H2. Now, as I've said, the rule of formatting is to apply to select the cell or the cells that contains the values you want to format. So to do that, I'm going to Control Shift right arrow key, Control Shift down arrow key, Control backspace. Now in the conditional formatting of the Home tab, I'm going to choose new rule. Now for the new formula, I'm going to use a formula to determine which cells to format. Now in this formula box, I'm going to just select the D3 and get rid of $sign in front of the row 3. So F4 key 1, 2. Okay, so we only have $sign in front of column D. All right, now I'm going to check, are you equal to the selected unique brand in cell H2? Now this has to be an absolute. Click on format, and you can even apply font. Let's apply bold and italicize it at the same time. Click OK, and we can click OK, and you can see bam, it's working pretty fine. All right, so when I change to, let's say under, it automatically update. You can even go ahead and modify the formula and to apply fill color. I'm going to come to conditional formatting and want to manage rules. Now double click the formula, and let's come back to format, and we want to use fill. Let's choose this orange color. Click OK, it's automatic, and finally click OK, it's automatically update. That's lovely. So you can actually play around and see. Okay, now let's jump to number 16, how to use the stock history function. Now we have this ticker symbol for Microsoft, okay, and we want to get the stock history from 1st of January 20 to the 1st of December 2020. Now I'm going to just deploy stock history function. Now the stock name will be the ticker symbol in cell B3, comma, the start date is this value, 1st of January 2015, and the end date. Now the end date is optional argument including the intervals, headings, properties, and so on and so forth. So close the parentheses and Control Enter, and let's see, bam, we have the stock history for Microsoft. Let's jump to number 17, tips and tricks. Now in number 17, we want to see how to text to column. Okay, we want this value in a single cells to be in different columns. Now the rule is select the value and control backspace, and we want to go to where the text column is, which is on a data tab of the ribbon, and click on text to column. Okay, now we're going to use delimited, so just click on next, and of course we can choose the delimiter. Now the delimiter we have here is comma. Okay, so I have to choose comma here, and we can say the data preview that it has now been splitted into different columns, and we can click on OK. I can even click on OK, and then we have it splitted. That's lovely. Now let's jump to number 18. Now we're going to use the same, achieve the same result with text to column, but in this case we want to use text split new function. Now let's do that. Equal sign text split. Now the text will be this value in cell A2, comma. Now the column delimiter. Now the column delimiter we have here is comma. So I'm going to put that inside double quote, and close the double quote, close. Click enter, and then we can Control C, Control down arrow key, jump to column D, Control Shift up arrow key, Control V. Bam! That's lovely. We've been able to split the column. Okay, now let's jump to number 19, how to use the free space. Now let's see this data set. Okay, now when I scroll down to this, inside this data set, you can see that I couldn't see the headings in row number 2. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Now let's see, I want to ensure that when I scroll down into the data set, I'm able to see row A, and when I scroll right into the data set, I want to maintain columns A, B, and C respectively. Now since we are interested in seeing the first 2 rows above and the first 3 columns to the left, I have to stay in cell D3 to apply the free space. Now you stay here and you come to the view tab. Now in the Windows group, click on free space, and of course the free space will keep rows and columns visible while the rest of the worksheet scrolls based on the current selection. Now our current selection is definitely cell D3, so when I click on it, you can see this inconspicuous vertical and horizontal line. This is an indication that there is free space in this data set, even if I'm not the one that created it. Now let's test things out and verify. When I scroll down into the data set, you can see that's lovely. The first 2 rows are visible. Now let me scroll to the right of the data set. Now you can see the first 3 columns are visible. That's lovely. Now to get rid of the fields, the free space, all you need to do is to come back to the free space and choose on free space here. So let's see the final tips and tricks in this presentation, which is how to use the filter dynamic array function. Now let's do that together. So let's say I want to filter to see only the report for payment that equals to MasterCard. What I'm going to do is to type in equal sign, type in filter. Now I want to return all the columns, Control Shift right and down arrow key, Control backspace, comma. Now the include argument will be the payment many side that equals to inside double quote MasterCard. Now this has to be typed accurately, MasterCard, close to double quote, because it's going to be a string, it's a string anyway. So okay, close to double quote and Control enter, and then we can see, we can just borrow these labels, Control C, Control V, and then we can apply short date in the home tab. We can type in short date, and we can apply currency here, Control Shift 4, get rid of the decimals, and then we can see these are the 2 records that equals MasterCard. Now when I come to the formula, where the formula lives, I can actually change this. Okay, so let's say Visa card, okay, and Control enter. You can see let's see, I think we do not have Visa card. Now let's try PayPal. Okay, PayPal, and Control enter. Oh, that's lovely. Now let me just use the format painter here, and let's use the format painter here. Okay, that's lovely. So this is basically how to use the dynamic array filter function. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation and you've learned one or two new things. Thank you for staying around, and please try to watch the presentation from other speakers. I wish you all the best. Bye.